LinkedIn presents.
This is the Forbes Books Podcast, conversations with folks who are impacting the world of business and beyond. Hola, I'm Joe Pardavila, and the following is a conversation between an American and an Australian that does not contain a single reference to Foster's beer, crocodiles, or Vegemite sandwiches. I'm really proud of myself. My guest today is Peter Hull, the founder of Fitstop, a functional strength and conditioning studio franchise that is helping people of all ages and fitness levels reach their fitness goals all over the world. And now, Fitstop's coming to America. We're going to talk about Pete's passion for health and fitness, why he's dedicated his career to helping people live healthier, happier lives, and what the future of fitness looks like. Pete, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat today.
Yeah, me too, Pete. And so I need your help from the jump here. So years ago, I was one of these psychopaths who was part of a CrossFit gym, worked out relentlessly. I ran a couple of marathons, and I used to be of the ilk of when I used to see people who didn't work out, I'm like, what's wrong with people? Why don't they work out? Fast forward a few years, I'm getting a little older. I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, built a house, have a dog, and now I have no reason whatsoever to go to a gym, work out, do anything. And I'm not expecting you to motivate me, Pete, but for folks like me that don't have that spark, who want to start working out but don't know like what can get them, what can fuel them, what do you say to folks like me?
Joe, I actually think you are a perfect fit stopper. So a lot of the reason we actually built and created the brand was I found that there was a huge need in the market for people that had moved their body at one stage in their life, and whether that was college football, running their first marathon, or just going to Equinox and lifting some weights. And they had fallen out of love or haven't prioritized fitness in the way they should. What Fitstop does is it brings a community together of genuine team training in a strength and conditioning environment. So it actually reignites that spark of, oh shit, I've felt this feeling before. You walk into Fitstop, you get told what to do. We've got expert coaches, expert programming. But most importantly, we actually force human connection where you get to train with friends. You get to be around like-minded people that actually want to feel that way again. And that's what we're really proud of. That's what we've built, across Australia and New Zealand now with over 25,000 members, and what we're really, really excited to bring to the US.
And so you talk about team training, coaching. I mentioned the fact that I was a CrossFitter a few years ago. There is some CrossFit vibes to this because I know a key part of it is, and I'm not going to go into like the controversial parts of CrossFit, but the functional training, which is kind of what CrossFit is built on. It's like not built on bench pressing or doing like these weird machines. It's all about functional training. So those are some similarities between the CrossFit world and Fitstop, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Like, look, the reason we built out my methodology in the first place was I'm a washed up athlete. I grew up racing motocross, so I can't catch a football or play any form of team sport. I grew up racing motocross, had 2 knee reconstructions, fell in love with coaching and strength and conditioning coaching, more importantly, in an athletic environment because, that old saying, when you can't do anymore, you teach. Yeah. So I started training athletes in more of a strength and conditioning environment so that I could program them out to get better at their sport. Now, over time, this has really evolved and we've developed out this 12-week training methodology. We talk about within Fitstop, it's not about how good you are in the gym. It's actually what it enables you to do outside of the gym. And originally for athletes, that was to do their sport. Now we talk about our members, making sure that they can move better or move more so they can live more. So all of our programming is actually getting you back to signing back up to your next marathon or playing with your kids or just moving house a little bit easier. So, our training methodology really stems from a really foundational piece of strength and conditioning training. So when you come into Fitstop, you are going to move your body, but you're going to focus on key lifts like bench press, back squat, deadlift, push press. We'll do some cleans. We've got assault bikes. We've got, ski ergs. You're going to get a high heart rate through some of the workouts, but you're going to work at your own pace, lifting your own weights in a very structured environment. And I think that's the difference between what we've put together and some of those other modalities, whether it's, CrossFit or Orange Theory or Barry's Bootcamp, is you're going to all do the same program. You're all going to move at the same times. We're going to do it in team training environments. So you're going to spot each other and support each other. But you're going to do it how you want to do it, and get the results you're looking for. So whether you're a first timer in the gym and you're going to come in and bench press the bar for the first time, or you are a current professional athlete in the off season, you're going to come in and bench 200 pounds for 5 reps. So yeah, that's where the magic really comes to life. It's more about teaching the community how they can get incredible results with a set structure rather than just go and do a workout.
All right. So let's talk about time and size, because as you know, Pete, I'm just too busy to work out. I don't have the time of the day. And then, oh man, I don't want to be in a group of 20 people. I feel like I'm back in high school where I'm just a face in a crowd. So talk to me about how long these Fitstop classes are and how many people are in a group.
Yeah, so 50 minutes is your total workout. So you're going to come in, you're going to get greeted by the trainer or the coach. You're going to go through a warm-up, an explanation of the warm-up. You're going to go into grouping. So to your point around how many people in a session, there's up to 36 people. But again, our big point of difference here is most of the workouts are programmed. So you train in teams of 3. So it would be us and our other buddy, our squad in our session. We're on a station for, say, 9 minutes. And all we're doing on that station is working up to a heavy set of 5 on back squat. One of us will be spotting each other, so making sure good form and technique, we're cueing, we're coaching, we're learning, and then we might be doing a superset with some wall balls or some glute activation. So the same way you would if you walked into Equinox or you went to a personal trainer, it's a really controlled and supportive environment. So although you are in a group of up to 36 people, you're actually training with your friends, with your buddies in a controlled environment, and that's what makes it feel really personal. So 36 people in a group, train in pods of 3, and work out for 50 minutes.
Good. All right. You sold me, Pete. Nice. And so you mentioned a little bit of the origin of Fitstop, how you were a former jock and you developed this sort of methodology with Fitstop. This was back in 2017, if I'm correct. You guys are probably killing it. And then 2020 rolls around. There's that little pandemic thing. And from what I understand from friends in Australia and just watching the news, Australia loved lockdowns a lot more than the United States. And here in the United States, we didn't love them all that much. But how did you survive during that time? Because, and I know Australia kind of went through these fits and stops where they'd be closed for a minute, then open for a minute, back and forth. So what was it like running a fitness company during this time?
Yeah, so look, we went from a one location, building out this group environment. I then built out the second location. The reason I actually franchised in 2017 was I wanted my managers to own these businesses. I'd been so rewarded, both financially, personally, emotionally, from this amazing fitness space that I wanted to pay it forward and allow other people to own these businesses as well. And that's the reason I franchised. So fast forward to 2020, at that stage, we had around 25 locations open across Australia. Obviously, we are shut down, but what we focused on was bringing it back to the grassroots of what was most important to us at Fitstop. And it's genuinely about supporting our community, our fitness community. I was, I guess quite lucky at this stage. I was actually building our own tech stack. So our own booking and billing system. Where we could control the whole member experience and give them more value. And when COVID did force a shutdown in Australia, it happened very quickly. But I reacted very quickly as well. And we actually launched our own tech stack. So our own member experience that all of our members in all of our locations actually re-signed up to a new platform. We actually went to market calling it Fitstop at Home. And we were the first in market in Australia and potentially globally. Within 24 hours of being locked down, we launched Fitstop at Home with our whole mantra of we wanted to keep people safe, but keep them moving. Mm-hmm. So we kept our members subscribed to our franchise unit. So all of our businesses were still driving revenue in. We reduced everyone's membership down to 50% of their paying weekly subscribed membership. And instead of booking a session and walking into a Fitstop, you booked a session and opened up the app in your living room or in your office, wherever you were. You launched the session, stream it to your TV, and you trained in a group environment. So we still kept that human connection piece of on-screen trainer with all your buddies in the room, training for the 50 minutes so that we could keep discipline, we could keep routine, and we could keep some human connection. And we did that for, in some states of Australia, up to 9 months, where we bounced between online and offline. But the consistency was book your daily sessions, show up, see your friends, train hard, get a sweat on, and feel good about yourself.
Wow. And I remember I interviewed several folks in the fitness industry during that time. And there was this conversation of like, people are never going to go back to a gym. You saw the rise of Peloton and the Mirror and all these home. Just out of curiosity, if you want to be transparent here, did you have any of those thoughts creep in your brain during those early days when people all of a sudden were saying like, I don't feel safe going into gym, having people sweat next to me, breathe next to me. Yeah. And obviously we've come to learn more about COVID and people were able to become educated. But those early days, no one knew shit, Pete, as you know. So what were you feeling at the time as you were growing these franchises of Fitstops across Australia?
Look, I think for me, I've tried to keep business very simple. And when I theme something out, I stay really true to that theme. So for that COVID piece, everything we did, our North Star was focused on making great business decisions to keep people safe and keep them moving, right? So we did that in the online environment. And then when we were transitioning back to the bricks and mortar in person, we did exactly the same thing. So keeping people safe, keep them moving. We reduced the class sizes so we had more space in all of our environments. We added extra sessions on because we knew people were working from home a bit more, so we could facilitate that over the course of the day. We brought the right measures in place for cleaning, sanitizing, and making sure that we captured the right information from all of our members at all times. And that was our grounding principle. I was never worried about people coming back because everything we do was always about team training. It was about, keeping your squad together, keeping that human connection. And I think that is the big benefit and one of the human needs, that we need to always kind of push into. So we just stayed true to what we were focused on for that time period. We learned a lot. And the biggest thing that came out of COVID for us, especially in Australia, was we became the trusted source of fitness in Australia. We were the ones that were over all of the media because we were doing the right things for the right reasons.
And where does that come from? You say, former jock, but you seem like you're pretty business savvy. When you were developing Fitstop, before you even thought about franchising, was this what you were envisioning back in the day when you opened that first gym?
No, look, never. I guess I'm a personal trainer at heart. I'm here to do the right thing, to get the right result for the person or people that are in front of me. And that's how I've set the business up. We've got a really clear, distinct vision and view of our values and how we act and the discipline we bring into the business. Again, I'm a personal trainer first and foremost, and that's how I run the company. We've got, amazing shareholders and, we're a business that is growing on large scale now, but I'm always going to make my business decision based off what the member needs first. And that's who I am. That's what I love. And I guess that's sometimes the benefit of a product-driven, passionate founder running a business versus corporate compliance.
And it's funny they say that because, I'm sure you've read enough business books, read articles, and you'll hear about these companies that have all of these like 10-point mission statements. And even the company I work for has something to that extent. And I tell people, my company may have all of these things that we're striving for, but at the end of the day, my role as working in podcasting is like, make good product and make the people you're working for happy. Like it's in a way that's sort of like your sort of ethos. It's like at the end of you're building a business, but unless you make those members, your clients happy, all that stuff is just smoke and mirrors. Nobody cares. Like it's if you're not doing a good workout and they're happy with it, you could have the most amazing business mind. You could have developed these amazing franchise model, but it doesn't matter if at the end of the day, the people aren't getting results or happy about it.
Yeah, look, and so we talk about one metric that matters to us. Our number one vital sign is our lives impacted. That's how many people are on our subscribe platform every single week. And it's really easy business to look at, right? There's two ways to grow that platform out globally. Is you need to plug more franchise units into it so we can scale, and you need to plug more members on average into each franchise unit. It's so simple, right? And then if we do that really well, we get to grow a global fitness community. We get to inspire people to move more so they can live more. We've got a distinct view on what our values are in our business, and our number one value, again, I actually call them more kind of commitments or rules of the game rather than values. But our number one commitment or rule of the game is our GFF, our give a fuck factor. If we don't have that in our business, if we are not living through the passion and the intent and doing the right thing by the people around us, then game over. So,
yeah. And let's talk about Australia a little bit here, because I know Americans are very fickle, but Australian audiences are very fickle and they know what they want. Like, people see you Australians like, yeah, they're just cool cats sipping some beer and hanging at the beach. But you guys are a very demanding audience. Why do you think Fitstop connected with Australians? And we're going to get to the American question next, because obviously that's your next chapter. But why do you think it worked in Australia?
I think deep down, and again, I think this applies for every region, but Australians in general, we're very lifestyle driven. You know, we work for the weekends, right? We're known to, work hard, play hard, that kind of vibe and culture. It's anytime you bump into an Australian in a bar or a nightclub, you know they're there to have a good time, right? So I think that work hard, play hard culture is super important to us. And because of that, we have a high standard for those key areas. We, are sometimes very career driven. We like to push boundaries. We don't like taking no for an answer. And I think that really translates into either team sport or the environment that you choose outside of your career or your home, right? So when you step into a fitness environment, you expect that you're going to hold a really high standard. You're going to work incredibly hard, but you're going to want a result from it. And again, going back to, the Australian culture is, if I'm not going to get a result from this, then I'm going to look somewhere else to get that result or what I'm really after in life. And I think that's why we've done a great job. We have got a program that will challenge you, and it will change you for all the right reasons. It will apply discipline to your life. It will help you move the way that you deserve to move. And then that will translate into your weekends being more enjoyable, more fun, more active.
And there was what Pat Riley called the innocent climb, where you were slowly but surely building the business. You weren't trying to hit fast forward and jump to 500 locations right away.
Yeah.
When did you know it was time to make the jump to the States?
Yeah, look, we got some really good investment, financial, but also mentorship a year and a half ago now. We got investment from Lift Brands globally. So they own Snap Fitness globally, a number of other brands. And part of that investment was actually to create a roadmap to launch our brand internationally, but really to focus on getting our foundation sorted in Australia. And for me, it was making sure we built great systems that could prove scale. Australia is the size of the US, but has less population than California. Yeah, for me to be able to create a global footprint and ultimately build out a global fitness community, that was really important to me. So making that next move, we wanted to tackle the biggest market on the planet and really challenge ourselves to showcase what Fitstop's all about. So, we decided about 16 months ago now that we were going to build a model that was going to work for the US. We're going to take our time to raise the money we needed, to have the right partners, to set up a foundational space in the US. And that so happened to be Santa Monica, to fund in the first 2 locations as corporate locations and to prove the model out and then to launch from there. So, like you said, this is definitely no jump in the deep end and just see how it goes. It's strategic planning over time, proving the model and concept, and then letting it launch.
All right, so let's pick that thread a little bit, because you mentioned you're in Santa Monica, 2 locations, Los Angeles. Pete, you might have noticed there's a couple gyms in Los Angeles. How do you expect to bust through the clutter there?
Look, and again, this is me very biased, obviously, being the founder. I've been traveling to the States now for 16 months on and off to look at how we stand this up. I missed Fitstop every single time I came here. I genuinely believe no one trains the way we do, and it blows my mind because I haven't reinvented fitness. We've just systemized fitness in a really great way that's scalable, but most importantly, gets incredible results for our members. So first and foremost, I genuinely don't believe anyone on the planet trains like we do, or has the system, format, and formula that gets the results that we do. Outside of that, if I was going to lean into one key area, and if I was to summarize this from a timing point of view, I don't think timing could be more perfect. Right now, the fitness market is talking about the importance of strength training in general, right? We know all the scientific evidence and results are coming out around, especially as our population starts to age, the importance of resistance training in general. And that's what we do. That's what I've done for 15 plus years now. So outside of the US needs us from our training methodology, I think the wider world needs us and leaning into this strength and conditioning market.
In terms of the human aspect and the coaches and getting people that know the quote unquote Fitstop way, I'm sure you probably have some sort of terminology for it, but what's it like trying to fill these positions, people that know the way you want to be taught to these clients coming through the door?
Yeah, look, the Fitstop DNA, the Fitstop formula is super important to me. It's my number one, my non-negotiable. We need to bring coaches on board that believe what we believe. Like I just said, we haven't reinvented fitness. So what I've done is actually I've looked at the market across the US and researched who best aligns with our training methodology. Again, the benefit of social media, right? You can follow a number of people and see if they're genuine. And when I came across this one individual, Pete Pisani, he's been in the industry for 15 plus years now. A strength and conditioning coach, a CrossFit athlete. He worked for another franchise group, which is also super important. There's one thing to know how to be a coach, but not how to be a coach and a teacher in the franchising space. So Pete Pisani was actually our first hire as our North America athletic director. We brought him to Australia for 6 weeks to learn the methodology. But my number one question to a coach when we're talking about bringing them on, whether it's for head office or for a franchise level, is what do you enjoy about training? And so many coaches out there love running their own program of strength and conditioning. They'll focus on training themselves in a full body environment, and they'll build out their methodology their week to ensure that they are progressing. They are focused on periodization. They are challenging each other. And a lot of the time when we have these conversations, they come in for their first ever session. Their response is, oh, this is the way that I would personally train. And that's the no-go. That's the 100% lean into this for me and get behind the methodology and get behind the environment we've created for these amazing coaches. So to be honest, there is so many amazing coaches, especially in California, that train the way that we program. We're just giving them now a vehicle and a platform to lean into this and, to be a part of a really exciting business.
And so you are not going to be hiring the cliche trainer that sits on the bench with a towel on their shoulder while the client works out on the other side of the gym. That's not the kind of coach as a Fitstop coach, right?
It's not. No, we're educators first and foremost. We're running a class of 36 people that we want to educate and invest in to make sure they're lifting correctly, they're being safe, but they're also learning at the same time. I want to be a legacy leaving brand where in 30, 40, 50 years time, the little girl asks their grandma, why are you so fit? Why are you still so active? Where did you learn this? And she turns around and says, I learned it at Fitstop. I bench press, I back squat, I deadlift. I learned how to eat well. I love walking on a Sunday. This is how I built my life. That's what we're about. And that's the people we want to bring into this company.
Sweet. And you mentioned brand, Fitstop. It's one of those things when I heard about you guys coming to California, I'm like, Fitstop, that seems like something that exists. And I always feel like any kind of name of something that sounds like it's existed before is a great name. So how did you come up with that Fitstop name and then how it evolved into the brand?
Yeah. So again, no brand consultancy, didn't go to a big agency and pay all this money to get, the vision of the brand on in a brand book and on a wall. I talked about my trying to live the dream as a professional athlete was motocross. So I grew up in motorsport, right? And in motorsport, it's a pit stop. When I started training athletes, I actually used to go and do a bit of a pop-up, take out, some equipment. I had a physiotherapist with me. We would do stretching. And because it's called a pit stop in motorsport, we just made it the Fitstop. So fitness stop. And that's how it evolved and around. My original personal training brand was called P2P, Power to Perform. My mum actually came up with that brand. She thought I could give people the power to perform. So it was originally P2P's Fitstop, and that's how it's evolved and what we've lent into. We talk about embracing the sweat, so being proud of the fact that you do the work. And then also we really lean into our brand statement, which is stop at nothing. And that's making sure that people are kind of breaking through those ceilings, challenging themselves for what's next and chasing that resilience piece of I can be more, I can do better. So it all comes from motorsport and the background of pit stop to Fitstop.
That's great. Hey, you saved yourself a few bucks, Pete. I mean, that's one thing. That's a good.
Hey, look, we've since then refined the brand, and I have worked with brand agencies who have done an incredible job to bring it all to life, and we've really grown up. But at a core level, we are who we are because of how we've started.
And so, 2 locations in Los Angeles, Santa Monica.
Yeah. Are
you going pedal to the metal franchising, or are you just kind of let sit and wait and see how things respond in California? Or it almost sounds like you're already getting calls to put this around the country. Talk to me about the current status of Fitstop's expansion.
Yeah, so look, Santa Monica is going to be our 115th open. So 115 locations across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore. First one in the US is in Santa Monica. The second one is Hermosa Beach. We wanted to stand up the first 2 locations as corporate locations and really prove out the model before we even speak about franchising. But my rule for expansion is always people and places. So I've got to believe in both, and we have to stay very business disciplined on both of those areas. We've actually just done a licensing deal for up to 10 locations in Philadelphia. Wow. Because we wanted to make sure that we could expand bi-coastal and really build a footprint. The big reason we actually went with these guys was they were members of ours in Australia who are now living in the US, who are very business savvy, love the brand and missed the brand when they moved over here. So we're now expanding with them as well. So practicing business discipline right now, standing up the first 2 corporate locations to be very successful, but then outreaching with a franchisee, a business owner in Philadelphia to then start driving that franchise space.
And what kind of metrics are you using to judge the success, whether it's in California or Philadelphia? Is it as simple as we've got X number of members coming in through the door a day? Like what do you, and I'm sure it's bigger picture since you're the founder CEO, but what is the day-to-day successes for Fitstop? When do you know like you've had a good day?
The biggest thing for us is we're a business. People buy into business, one for passion, absolutely, but they need to get a good return on it, right? Yeah. So our break-even number is the number one number that we speak about when we're doing a pre-launch. So right now we're in pre-launch of Santa Monica. We're selling all of we call them our OG members, our Fitstop originals. And we know that we want to open on day one cash flow positive. So cash flow positive meaning we can pay all of our team, we can pay our bills. We're not dipping into the reserve cash that we've invested into this business. It's sustainable from day one. And look, that's something that I'm really, really proud of that we've built out as a model in Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore. So for me, launching successful means opening day one cash flow positive. Does it happen every single time? No, but do we strive for that? Because that's what winning looks like for a community and a return on investment. Yes. Then outside of that number, we look at what our average attendance is per member across every single week on week. And that's how we drive growth.
Got it. And in terms of getting the word out, I joked earlier that in the Los Angeles area, there are a couple of gyms. Yeah. How have you been getting the word out? Is it social media, paid ads? What's been the driver so far for making sure that you're ending up in the black on opening day?
I've been a very big believer in keeping things quite simple, but also that old saying, build it and they will come, was super important to me, right? So before we actually launched the first location in Santa Monica, I went and leased quite a large warehouse and we built out a pop-up. So we've been running a pop-up in West LA or North Santa Monica for the last 12 weeks. And we've been doing free community sessions every single Saturday to invite people in, to experience it, to build our lead funnel, but most importantly, get feedback. I think you can't be naive in business. You can't just enter a new market and be like, oh, we're amazing. We've got 25,000 members. We know everything. We've run these sessions and we've listened to the Santa Monica community. And that's been a big investment for us on the front end, but so worthwhile to really nail exactly how we're launching.
Wow, that's fantastic news. And, I joked about how fickle Australians and now Americans can be. And it's brilliant that you're essentially doing market research while you're launching, which is kind of unheard of. I think most people can't do that way, but you've been able to do it with the pop-up model. What's some of the feedback that you're getting stateside here that you're like, ooh, we can't do it like we did in Australia? Are there certain little things that you're seeing that show up?
Yeah, so look, in Australia, one of the big ones is we don't have our trainers mic'd up. Natural voices, they love yelling, we love loud music. We've really fine-tuned the audio system and the entire experience in the US to make sure that people are welcomed in. We're offering towel services. Again, another thing we don't do in Australia. We're focused a lot on the education for our trainers, when they use a mic, when they don't use a mic, how they group people up, how we're explaining the workout. So I think the biggest thing we've done here is we've really refined the process to make sure that it is an acceptable standard for the LA region.
Interesting. It's so funny. As you were saying, I'm like, oh, so you're fine tuning the thing that works. Like, Fitstop works in other parts of the planet, and now we're just trying to match the needs of an American audience. That's funny about the PA. Yeah, especially with music. I always feel like it's always tough in a gym. Like, it's great to have loud music, but sometimes it's really hard to listen to someone, especially if a coach is trying to do the right thing. Like, what are you saying over there? So I'm sure there is some sort of trial and error with that.
Well, and look, the other thing we have kept from the Australian model, which I think is actually very different to the US model, and we played around with this, is we've actually launched our subscription-based membership to be paid weekly, which is kind of unheard of, especially in the California market. The reason we've done this and kept with it is there's two parts to this. One, our app is built out so the member has complete control. So the member can join up at any stage. There is a 30-day cancellation period, but for any reason, our members can actually cancel down, pause, or transfer their membership whenever they want. I genuinely believe everything should be driven through member experience and consumer feedback. This is what allows us to do that. It also means that for a member, for our community, you can actually start to focus on your own cash flow needs. So you're not hit with a huge lump sum every month, like your rent, like other expenses, but you can treat this more like a lifestyle business. The same way you buy your coffee, you buy your groceries every week or your meal prep, and you can build it to actually be part of your lifestyle, right? The second part to this is cash flow for a business is super important. Now, cash flow wise, when you're a business and you're only getting transacted on monthly, you go through these massive peaks and troughs and stresses as a business owner. So we can make this really flat line. So we know exactly week on week, the revenue that's been driven into our business, where our bills are at, how we're paying our trainers, and really build a scalable, sustainable business.
That's cool. And it's funny, you beat me to it, because I was going to ask about how your subscription model works, because as you know, the dark side of the fitness industry is getting out of a membership. I mean, I think I'm not sure if Planet Fitness still does this. Is like, you can do everything on the Planet Fitness app and online, but you need to actually walk down to a physical location to cancel. And I just don't understand why gyms haven't caught up to the rest of the world. And it seems like you have, but what is it with the fitness industry and their obsession with like locking people in these, you've got to give us like a 6-month notice if you want to cancel and all that. When is the fitness industry going to kind of work their way out of that?
I break this down into two parts because there's pros and cons here. The first one is, and I can see this as somewhat of a benefit, the first person that gives up on themselves is themselves, right? Like, we all have those days that you talk yourself out of something, you don't want to go to the gym. When you've got that pain point, so we're all driven through pain versus pleasure, right? And a lot of the time we'll actually be driven further and faster through pain. The idea of like, oh shit, I don't want to deal with that.
Right.
So by having your subscribed membership that you can't get out of, that you need to physically walk in somewhere and cancel down, are you maybe a little bit more likely to potentially go back and just give it one more shot rather than having that shitty conversation? So there's definitely one element of that could be considered to be a positive, right?
Yeah.
The other side to this, and this is the commercial side of a big box gym, whatever brand you want to talk about or think about, is a lot of their commercials comes back to the non-usage. So a lot of these big corporates will track usage versus non-usage. Non-usage means we can fit more members in here, so keep selling, right?
Yeah.
Usage means, at capacity, we might get some frustration points coming in here. We need to cap out this membership or drive a higher yield. So I think a lot of businesses are probably driven through that commercial element, not like the human needs element. For us at Fitstop, we actually use all of this data to analyze how well we're going as a business. So because we track overall usage, the attendance pieces, high-risk members, we want people to be with us. We are also a higher yield, right? So at Fitstop in the US, we want to drive this membership to around $69 per week. Yeah, we want it to be considered more personal. That personal training in a group environment. We want high touch, high value. And that's why we've decided to make sure we give the member the control in their hand. Every single session, they can either choose, am I joining Fitstop today or am I potentially leaving it? So it's really interesting insights. Obviously, from a business perspective, there is that 4-week notice that we get genuinely reconnect with a member. We can do some goal setting with them. Maybe we haven't connected with them for a while and we want to talk them, back into giving themselves another opportunity to feel better. But everything's done first and foremost with a member experience in mind.
Awesome. That's great. And lastly, Pete, I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs over the last couple of years. And there are some I could be like, okay, this person's built this business so they can sell it. And I get the feeling that you're not that kind of entrepreneur. You're not waiting around for Golds or Planet Fitness to call you up and be like, hey, Pete, we like your motto. Can we buy you out? Am I correct in that assumption? Am I good psychoanalyzing that you're in this for the long haul?
Yeah, look, I'm a personal trainer first. I got into this business first and foremost to build an incredible method that got people genuine results. I got into franchising so that I could help more business owners, more passionate fitness enthusiasts get into this space and build their own communities. I'm staying in this business to build a global fitness community. Yeah, we've taken investment. I personally have diluted as we've grown this business, as every founder does, to bring the right people on the journey. Right now, that's Lift Brands. They're here for the long term with us to help us grow an exciting business across the US. We'll enter into the European market, and we'll keep expanding this beast. I'm also someone that understands that everyone's in the business for a reason, season, or a lifetime. I'm personally here for a lifetime. But as we keep growing, no doubt we're going to attract some of these amazing big players that, can add fuel to our fire. So, for me, my personal vision experience is just to keep growing this business, to be surrounded by incredible people that, can teach me to inspire more people to want to be a part of it. And let's see where this thing goes. But yeah, legacy leaving, that's what Fitstop's all about.
Awesome. His name is Peter Hall, founder of Fitstop. Pete, it's always great talking to an Aussie. It's good talking to an Aussie who's doing well here in the States. So keep up the good work, and I can't wait to see what other cities that we'll be seeing Fitstops hitting anytime soon.
Man, I can't wait to have you in for a session and experience it for the first time.
I'm already sweating thinking about it, Pete. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.
And that'll do it for another episode of the Forbes Books Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. That way you'll receive new episodes as soon as they're available. And if you have a spare moment, I would greatly appreciate it if you could leave a review, which would help other exceptional entrepreneurs like you discover the show. You can always connect with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Joe Pardavila. And please don't forget the golden rule and treat others as you want to be treated. Thanks for listening. Until next time, adios.